Hey guys, my name is Ryan and welcome to Overwatch Central. So it's been 1 week since the Mercy nerfs went through onto the live servers and already so much has changed. For example, Moira has become a staple support that isn't overwhelmed beneath the Mercy meta, and also we have seen some changes in other heroes as well. Today I actually want to talk about the impact of the Mercy nerfs 1 week on, how this has affected her pick rate and win rate is the obvious things to cover, which we will do in this video. However, before we get started, I want to cover some more interesting stats that have surfaced first, and we want to start there. These stats were provided to us by Omnic Meta, who are a website that we've worked with countless times on stuff like what's a meta and that kind of jazz, and they have a few more interesting bits and pieces on their article on their website, which they've included, so do check out their article for a full breakdown of everything that is in there. But let's get started looking at the main bulk of the Mercy nerfs, which came around the resurrect ability, more specifically during her ultimate Valkyrie. During her ultimate, her resurrects were instant and she always had 2 for every Valk. Granted, she hadn't used a charge 30 seconds before she ulted, but she'd always get 1 extra res at least that she could use during her ult. Nowadays, she doesn't get that extra charge, and even in Valkyrie, her resurrects are still a cast time ability, meaning that she can't get as many out without being taken out of the sky. On average, you could see how many resurrects a Mercy could get out before in any given game. On average, it topped out at about 11 reses in GM, meaning that around 5 Valkyries on average and maybe a few random resurrects here or there outside of it. Well, since then it's actually halved, going no higher on average than 6 reses a game, which is a huge drop off with such a strong ability. Considering on average the games last around 15 minutes, you can see how that's a big difference and how that impacts the game in such a way. And this did exactly what Blizzard wanted to do with the changes to Mercy, reduce the potency of her resurrect ability. And already a good amount of the community are quite happy with these changes to Mercy. Surprisingly not me, not to go against the notion of all YouTubers hating Mercy and all the support heroes. I actually did play a lot of Mercy prior to these changes. However, it was that stigma of being a support player and almost having to play Mercy all the time that sort of put me off and made me steer more towards playing other tanks. I still play it if we have something like a Pharah or defending certain maps like 2CP or Hybrid, and also if the other support is a Moira, for example, and I don't feel comfortable picking up Ana or Zenyatta or Lucio. But a 2CP is a really good example of a map that I think Mercy would work well on. Say you're defending Volskaya Industries' first point, you win the fight on the defense, but say your main tank dies during it. This just means that you can bring him back in the fight before the fight starts up again, acting almost like a personal teleporter to some players. It was certainly way too strong in its previous iteration though. It really changed the swing of fights and how the game was played in a lot of senses, and it really reversed a lot of mistakes that were going on in the game. So how does this affect Mercy's pick rate? Well, it comes as no surprise that her pick rate has dropped across all of the tiers. The biggest change, however, is how much she's dropped in GM, and it's a total of 70% drop in pick rate, going for the top played hero in GM to around 12th. Overall, across all of her other tiers, her pick rate fell from 14.71% in total to around 7.2%, going from the top most played hero to 3rd, losing out on places to Moira and D.Va, which shows that Mercy's pick rate on average is halved and still seems to be falling. Now, how does this fare in comparison to the other supports? You need something to compare this to, right? Well, Mercy is still above Ana in pick rate on average, but they stay very close to one another. Hell, even if you go through all of the tiers in Overbuff, you can see Mercy and Ana next to one another a lot in pick rate, so it's incredibly close. Moira's pick rate has soared as expected, and it's really honestly good to see. It's nice to see that this hero has come into her own since the Mercy changes. And I can totally understand why people may think that I dislike her and other supports in the game from the last video. I honestly play a lot of Moira, and I think that showed when Moira was added into the game around BlizzCon. We made a tremendous amount of videos surrounding the hero because I most certainly enjoyed playing and learning around it and how effective she was going to be. We did videos with Custer, that kind of thing, and I certainly think that she's a hero that the community will enjoy and get a lot better at. Buys good game sense, so it's nice to see that she's got her time in the sun. But considering that she's Irish, very pale and ginger, I don't think Moira wants to spend too much time in the sun or she's going to get sunburn. But regardless, Moira's doing really well, but also we are seeing stuff like a 20% bump to Lucio in the highest tiers, which has been very beneficial. Brings him back up to the first most popular support in the game for the highest tiers, so I very much retract my statement of him being trash tier. I get frustrated with playing Lucio. I can feel he's pretty underwhelming and low impact, but it seems that since these Mercy changes have gone through, it's really benefited Lucio again, and he now starts to feel like a prominent pick again. But I feel that all of this information falters in comparison to how prominent the win rates are going to be, and at the moment Mercy's win rate has dropped under 50%, which is usually a telltale sign of a hero needing a little bit more love. And in the highest tiers, Mercy spots the 5th lowest win rate, with only Pharah, Reaper, Hanzo and Bastion beating her being worse win rate heroes. And as you're seeing on screen with the Omnic meta stuff, her win rate has fallen at most by 5% in the highest tiers. It doesn't really seem like much, but considering the proportion of players that still pick her up on player, that's a lot of losses that match up with that. Certainly with how much Mercy is played in comparison to Hanzo and Bastion and Reaper especially. So all of this is kind of bad for Mercy as a hero. I do genuinely think that Blizzard will come back to Mercy and iterate on some of these changes in the future. They really wanted to shut down Resurrect as an ability, and because of that they have made her pretty much unplayable in a similar sense to how Roadhog used to be. So it would surprise me if Blizzard and Jeff Kaplan have a few quality of life changes to give to Mercy to just make her feel more interesting and dynamic to play, because at the moment she is pretty boring to play as well and very little impact overall. So hopefully that should just push her up a little bit. But this does highlight something else and put something else into perspective, and that is Ana still has a lower win rate than Mercy on average. Considering how much we're slating on Mercy right now, that's not really as good for Ana, considering the perception surrounding Ana is that she's a viable pick at the moment, and I still disagree with that. Granted, her win rate is about even in the highest tiers as Mercy, but look at that drop off between gold and plat. She's definitely a support that I think needs a bump somewhere. I'm not necessarily sure where, but I still would like to see Ana buffed in some capacity, just to make her a little bit stronger in some situations. But overall, I'd say in the support category, things are looking really balanced and healthy. Moira's in a super strong point right now. There are question marks over her head being too strong. Again, I'm not putting those question marks there, by the way. It's just what the community have been grumbling about quietly, and it's something that we commonly hear on this channel. Whether that's the case, it's a topic for another time, but right now things are looking good. Mercy's faltering, which is unfortunate, and Ana is still sort of met in comparison to the other supports. They're doing really well. But let us know what you think. Let us know in the comments below whether you like where Mercy is, whether you think she should be nerfed to the ground. How would you change it to make her more viable? What would you change for Ana, for example? And also just generally let us know about the support landscape, whether you've been having fun. But until next time, take care. We'll see you then.